Welcome again to everybody, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. My name is Tom Rogers. I'm the Marketing Manager of Intelitech Solutions, and I will be facilitating today's meeting. Just a few quick housekeeping items. We have the lines in listen-only mode, but there are a few options for asking questions during the presentation. You can type your question into the question box, or if you have a question that you would prefer to ask verbally, you can use the hand raised function, which is found on the left side of your navigation bar there, and we will unmute your line and you can ask your question verbally. We will also be unmuting our lines at the end for a general question and answer session. If you do have any issues or problems during the presentation, you can send your question in the chat box and we will do our best to help you out. Today we will be presenting on wildly creative ways to use Microsoft CRM. Presenting today will be Dana Anderson, our Microsoft CRM Product Manager. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Dana, but for those who are not, she's been with Intelitech Solutions for 6 years now, and prior to that worked for Microsoft. She's worked with Microsoft CRM since its pre-beta days and has worked on implementations as varied as 1,000 users with very complex integration needs, all the way down to single-user systems looking just to track general activities. And today she will be talking about some of the creative ways we have helped our clients use Microsoft CRM. So a quick look at our agenda for this morning. We are going to take a look at how CRM use has changed over the past 5 years, moving away from a traditional sales and service focus to being used as a way to manage all business processes for an organization. We're also going to take a look at why moving beyond that traditional focus is important for your business. And then we're going to get right into the heart of our presentation and so show some wildly creative ways you can use Microsoft CRM. And again, at the end, we will have a question and answer session. So just taking a look at the general landscape out there, over the past 10 years, really, most businesses have embraced CRM solutions like Microsoft CRM. About a decade ago, it would have been uncommon, or not as common, I should say, to see as many businesses using it. But for the most part, businesses today have embraced CRM solutions like Microsoft CRM. All companies obviously want to increase their sales and grow their company, and CRM solutions are the easiest and most efficient way to track sales activities and forecast growth. Similarly, all businesses want to take care of their customers, and the ability to have a single database with all client information and support issues and activities stored in one central location is a key tool towards accomplishing that. But the question today is that enough anymore? Is it okay to simply have a CRM solution in place? Is it simply enough to track your sales and service activities? Again, kind of going back to 10 years ago, it was common for companies to say, what are our competitors doing? Do they have a CRM solution in place? Oftentimes they found that yes, they did, and that the way businesses would keep up with their competition would be to install something like Microsoft CRM. Today, a similar discussion is taking place, whereas businesses are saying, are we doing as much with our CRM solution as our competitors are doing with theirs? Are we making the best use of our CRM system to stay competitive in the marketplace? CRM is great for staying on top of your customers and prospects and making sure that you take excellent care of your customers. But as a business, you really need to ask yourself today, what are you doing to make sure that you're providing superior customer service? And are you using your CRM to automate key tasks so that you have not just profitable customers, but streamlined processes in place to make sure that your business runs smoothly overall? Recent years have brought about a lot of changes to businesses nationwide, and not just because of the economy, but also because of the way technology and other factors have changed what customers are going to expect from a business in the way of customer service. As technology has brought so much information to virtually any device imaginable, customers have really come to expect better and better services from businesses. How you keep up with that shift is crucial to your success. For instance, a study by Pew Research found that 58% of Americans have left a vendor due to a delayed or an inferior response in just one instance can be enough to drive a customer away from your business. And as you can see from this quote here, there was a Peppers and Rogers Group white paper talking about the fact that companies really need to give their staff the tools in place to deliver that superior customer experience to their customers. And that's really critical in staying competitive with your competition. So what are some of the challenges that you need to respond to as a business? Well, obviously, finding creative ways to improve your business productivity is going to be crucial, but also, again, to provide that excellent customer experience and to do it in a way that you're utilizing resources you already have in place so that you can stay efficient and control your costs. So let's just take a quick look now at how CRM use has really changed over the past 5 years. Traditionally, CRM has been used by the sales, customer service, and marketing teams to manage the customer relationships or the prospect relationships, and depending on which type of team you're talking about, to automate your sales and service business processes and to track those interactions. And it really was just a customer-centric focus. Now you're starting to see that instead of just your marketing and sales and customer service teams, all teams are using a solution like CRM, your admin staff, everybody. And it's being used to manage any type of business relationship, any type of interaction. Now, obviously, it can automate all your relevant business processes, track activities and history of anybody you're touching from your business perspective, and give full business analytics, not just taking a look at your customer service tickets or your sales pipeline, but take a look at all your business analytics. It's more important than ever that CRM manage not just your sales and support, but as I said, all your business. To maintain client lists and track activities, but to track all aspects of your client activities. To have a central database, but not just for keeping track of your clients, but keeping track of any sort of internal campaigns or any sort of internal workflows that you're doing around your clients. And to store documents, but not just to store them so that you have, for the sake of having them, but also making intelligent use of it, time stamping it, again, having business analytics to take a look at your document workflow, make better informed decisions for your business overall. So with that, we're going to take a look at some of the creative ways you can use Microsoft CRM. Again, presenting this morning is going to be Dana Anderson. And she has 6 years experience with Intelitech Solutions. She's worked, again, on dozens of types of installations, all the way from large installs down to just a couple of clients, a couple of users, rather, and has really helped our clients make a very creative use of Microsoft CRM. And I'm going to flip the controls over to her right now, and we will take a look through things.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dana Anderson. Again, I restate thank you for your time this morning. We're going to cover 3 examples. They are existing clients of ours, but for privacy's sake, we won't be divulging the actual client names, but more so just a big picture of some of the creative ways that we have found to utilize some of the out-of-box functionality that Microsoft CRM does provide, as well as finding unique ways of actually configuring the software to track the unique needs of each of these 3 clients. Okay. The first client that we are going to talk about, their challenge was they are an accounting firm, and they actually perform tax return processing as well as audits for their tax clients. And what we found is a monster amount of paper that came in the door. And unfortunately, as paper trails do tend to happen, things did get a little bit cluttered, and they had no automated way when someone called in to say where in the process was their tax return, what was the next step in audits, etc. So what we were able to utilize CRM and came up with a solution that allowed them to track those tax returns. And as Tom mentioned earlier, the time and date stamp is very important, especially when you're dealing with a time-sensitive process such as a tax return and the due dates accordingly. This solution that we were able to come up with not only allowed them to give good customer service to their tax clients so that when they called in for an update on where in the process, it was very easy. Instead of having to go find that paper trail, is to look up in the system and see who touched that piece of paper last, what was the last thing that needed to be sent in maybe by the clients, and not have to run all around the office to try to track that down. The end result of this, obviously, number one, we were able to keep track of productivity. So if something came in the door that should have only taken 2 days, because of the time stamping, we were able to see exactly how long that was actually in a certain stage, or even from start to finish, because there's a multitude of stages that happen when a tax return is coming through the pipe. The ability to compare the tax to complete through the date through previous years. So it was a year-to-year comparison for a lot of reasons. For training purposes, did we actually apply the right staff member last year because maybe they didn't have the right expertise and maybe we need to get somebody more experienced this year. And it also allowed management to keep track of backlogs and actually make sure that we were meeting all of these tax deadlines as the federal and state governments mandated. And we were able to do this through automated workflows. Automate automatic notifications to a given staff member that a next step was required, or maybe notification to management when something was delayed, and something even as far-reaching as to automatically notify the client that something was necessary to be returned to us in order to facilitate the end result of filing that tax return with the state and the federal government. Okay. The next client that we're going to talk about is a nonprofit charitable organization who has a multitude of things that they perform services for mentally challenged people. And not only did they have a multitude of case management workers that assisted these clients, but they also had a multitude of facilities, houses that these clients may live in. And you can well understand some of the challenges around maintaining a facility. Things break, things need to be fixed, inspections need to happen. And not only that, because it's a nonprofit organization, they had a need to manage donations and facilitate obtaining grants and such to actually fund some of the services they provide for these clients. They had no automatic way of keeping track and centralizing all of this, that actually the core component here is this mentally challenged person. And to be able to keep track in a full view of what is happening with John Doe. And so that was our challenge with this particular client. And the solution, again, creative way of using Microsoft CRM, we were able to not only collect all of the data around the nonprofit organizations, but we were able to store it in one location. We were able to keep track of activities related to an awarded grant, because you can well understand that these organizations and individuals are graciously donating money, but they do want to keep track of the efficiency in utilizing that money. So this also allowed this organization to report back to the funders, whether they be individuals or companies, and show where their money was actually being utilized. But it also helped them to keep track of just something as simple as I need to take John Doe for a doctor's appointment, or I need to assist John Doe with career counseling. And the automatic workflows here actually help them to keep things in the schedule, and all of these activities surrounding not only the houses but these John Doe type people, were all of the activities that then supported what this grant was used for. So the one central place for all of these interactions, and it served two purposes. One, to better facilitate assisting these people, managing the houses, but also justify the spending of the money in order to provide those services. The data was very easily available through the system because it is one central database. The staff was very easy. It was very easy for the staff to quickly compile information for a multitude of purposes. They were compiling data to create time cards in order to pay the staff. They were compiling data to report back to the grant writers. They were also keeping track of something as simple as how much time and what effort does it take to compile a grant request. So it even went a stage further back on actually helping them to more efficiently, hopefully, get these grant monies in-house. Development personnel, the case managers were able to get information on their activities for a multitude of purposes, a multitude of, how many times did it take to perform a career counseling session before this person was out in the workforce, or report back to maybe a state facility to justify requests for more money. So that was the end result, and what they're finding is that, number one, it's a full view into the organization, but grant monies are actually starting to increase, and donations are starting to increase as a result of being able to provide validation of where their money has actually been going to in the past. And the next one was probably one of the most interesting and probably the most complex, because we had a state agency who had difficulty in tracking the steps of communications for their internal process. And what their internal process mainly was, they had a multitude of applicants that needed to apply for numerous amount of jobs. And the complexity of applying for this job actually required background checks, investigations, and also payment for these background checks. There's a multitude of things that had to happen in order to get that prospective employee approved for employment and then actually issued a license to work in these state facilities. And again, there was nothing automated for that. They got a paper application. That paper floated around the state agency, and who knows where in the process, kind of similar to that tax return. We weren't sure if the applicant called in and said, where is my application? They really weren't sure at the time. So we were brought in and found the unique way of using Microsoft CRM. This is probably one of the most, unlike the typical sales, service, and marketing that originally Microsoft CRM came out for, it's the most varied use of the CRM system that we've put into place. And what we were able to create is not only an application that was online, but that application came in and started to generate system-wide alerts. And we did that via customizing the automated workflow utility that is in CRM. So several notifications happened. Notifications that a background check needed to happen, or a notification to a prospective employee that they needed to get back in, for example, their Social Security card, or they needed to report into a facility to have their picture taken for their license. So there was I don't want to say hundreds of steps because that's probably an exaggeration, but there was a multitude of steps that was involved from the time that person applied to actually issuing them a license. And what we were able to do through this workflow engine is to automatically schedule some of those events and more efficiently keep that flow happening so we could actually issue a license. But it didn't stop there. It actually carried on from the point that the person was issued that license, because they were only valid for a year, maybe two, and it kept track of when that license was about to expire. So it helped with the initial application, but it also helped with renewals of these applicants when their licensing needed to be renewed at a future time. It also is assisting them with insufficient funds issues. They're identified quickly so that we can start to bring in the funds that were And again, this is back to some of the payments that were required to facilitate some of these licensing along the way. And we did this via an automated workflow that was integrated into Microsoft Word, meaning that letters could be created and sent out for approval. Now that's just to expand a little bit on that, because this is Microsoft CRM, the integration to the other Microsoft Office products such as Word to create letters, Excel to create very simple reports or analytics are built directly into the system, and we use that in a lot of cases to create the creative flow, and it's built right in functionality-wise into the system. Okay. And what we're actually going to show you here momentarily, Tom's going to switch over and let me drive the computer. He's been driving up to this point. But just to kind of give you a little bit of a background while he does this. Just 1 second to switch over here. I'm actually going to use ourselves, Intelitech Solutions, as our guinea pig client here. We are a client of myself as well as Intelitech. We use Microsoft CRM. Now, not to mislead you, we are using it for a very typical sales service and marketing path, but we also have some very unique needs. And as you're kind of seeing here and seeing the theme of our presentation today, unlike other Microsoft products where there are very strict rules, some of the other products that we deal with are accounting, and let's face it, you know, debits and credits and the rules of accounting are very straightforward when it comes to implementing some of the other Microsoft products that we do support here at Intelitech. But where it comes to Microsoft CRM, we are finding that myself and the other consultants that work on this product, it's a little bit more creative here. There's never any one way of configuring CRM. And one of the ways I'm going to show you here today is we took it a little bit further. We are using, as I said, some of the functionality that's built right in, but we also kind of tweaked some of the out-of-box functionality to keep track of the project. A lot of you that are on the phone today have worked with myself and other Intelitech consultants here that we are implementing, whether it be Microsoft CRM, Great Plains, Solomon, which are GP and SL now. We have a lot of project-related activities that we need to keep track of as we help you to implement some of the products that we sell to you and support for you. So sales, service, marketing projects are not really built into the system out of the box. We had to find a way to assist us with hopefully help managing these projects for you, as well as giving visibility into the management team here at Intelitech, what's been happening with the projects that we have ongoing. And that can be for scheduling purposes, just keeping track that the project is on target with the schedule. There's a multitude of things that have to happen once we start on a project with you guys, our clients. So what I'm going to show you here is one of the ways that we obviously start, hopefully, with an opportunity to sell you something, whether that be a product or consulting services. We're going to focus on consulting services, and our hope is the end result of an opportunity to sell you consulting services is to start a project with you guys. I'm going to focus here on, we at Intelitech are actually an account within CRM, the company, Intelitech Solutions. What we decided to do, and unfortunately this, you know, Microsoft does not think about every, doesn't think about all of the iterations of things that people may use this for. The end result of an opportunity, as I said, is hopefully to sell you a project. Now, if you take a look on the left-hand side here, you don't really see anything called project. So what we hope to do is to turn an opportunity that we sell to you, and once we win that opportunity, to turn that into a project. And therefore, we can keep track going forward what's going on with that project. Now, what we did is we actually customized slightly the actual opportunity screen to keep track of some of the project-related information here. So we have an opportunity to hopefully implement CRM for someone. We are going to implement CRM for the potential customer of Intelitech Solutions. A lot of these fields are out of the box. Obviously the potential topic that's out of box, obviously we're going to sell to a customer, but what we also needed to keep track of is what is the potential sale project. As you can see, we sell Microsoft CRM, we sell GP, which is Great Plains. We also sell SL, which is Solomon, and for those of you that have worked with us for a long time, the names have kind of morphed over the years. So we're keeping track of the type of project. We're also keeping track, because we not only sell you services, we do sell you product. So we're keeping track of the estimated software revenue that is utilized. Tom, as the marketing manager, is very interested on a daily basis on what is our potential software revenue as we go through the sales pipeline. So we added that field for a couple reasons, but Tom was one of the key reasons for that. The rating, that's pretty common out of box. This is a hot opportunity, cold, warm. This is pretty typical sales cycle type things. But we're also keeping track of, because we can't just sell you a product, we have to help you to implement a product, is how many consulting hours are we anticipating that this project could take. I put 80 hours in here, and the estimated revenue for this is $15,000. Now again, this is a multitude of reasons. It's helping not only Tom in marketing, it's helping myself as the CRM product manager to understand how many projects do we have coming down the pike for CRM. Therefore, I can kind of keep track of, who's going to be needed where and when, and how many hours are they going to be needed. And then obviously our boss is very interested in keeping track of these types of metrics here as well. The estimated close date, again, this is for scheduling purposes. When do we expect to close this deal? And because the sales cycle, in a perfect world, we'd get the phone call from a prospective client today and hopefully close the deal tomorrow. But we all know that doesn't really happen. So, and there's a multitude of steps that hopefully, not too many steps, but there is a multitude of steps to actually close a deal. So we are keeping track of when is the next step in the process due, and what is that next step. Now we have some workflows built around this. So let's say, for example, my next step on this one is to schedule a kickoff meeting with this prospective client, and it's due on 11/2. If on 11/3 that hasn't happened, the workflow engine will remind me on 11/3 that, hey, a deadline was missed, and you need to follow that up. And then there's another workflow behind that if it's still 5 days later missed, then it will escalate up the pipe to bosses and hopefully help these things move through the pipeline. So just that one section in the forecast information, not a whole lot of customization, but a multitude of reasons why we put these fields on here. Now the beauty of this is, once the workflow engine that we're talking about here, when I close this as a one opportunity up here, this opportunity does get locked down. We've won it. We shouldn't have any more activity on that, but that's where our problem started in. Because once we close this opportunity as one, that's really when our work begins. And where do we keep track of all that interaction that is going on when this project is actually won? As I keep talking, I'm going to go ahead and click close as one, and then I'm going to keep talking here a little bit because something's going to happen here in the background that will help you to see where we went with this. This is one of the biggest challenges that we found when we're working with clients is, okay, we won the deal, now what? There's still a lot that has to happen, whether it be a manufacturing type client that we sold them a custom piece of equipment, but then that equipment needs to go through manufacturing and a lot of different stages to build that piece of equipment that they purchased. Where do we keep track of that? Unfortunately, the way that this software is configured, once the opportunity is won, they assume no more work is required to happen. So what we decided to do and we've implemented this not only for ourselves but for other clients that have a lot of activity beyond just the sales cycle ending, is we decided to use the functionality that's built into service called Cases. Now, Cases is actually something that you guys, when you call in for support and you talk to Lisa Stranahan and say, I've got a problem with CRM or I've got a problem with Great Plains or SL, Lisa does log a case into our system, and it's just a service case, and it's either forwarded to me if it's a CRM issue or someone like Lucille if it's an SL issue, or a multitude of support reps. But we decided to utilize this also for our project management. Now, if you notice, in the background here, there is actually now a case called Implement CRM. And if you'll recall, that was the title of my opportunity that I just closed as one. In the background, to save on keying time, we actually have the workflow on winning an opportunity where the type had consulting dollars and consulting hours. It behind the scenes actually went out and created a case. Case is built into CRM, but it created a project type case. This is the area where, once we kick this project off, and there's a lot of communications back and forth either via email or phones or kickoff meetings, which are appointments, this is a storage facility that allows us to keep track until we actually have implemented the product for you and we actually close out the project. So yes, we do use it for questions and problems for when you call in, but we're also using it for projects. And you'll see here too, we have a case type, not too many, but if our CEO is got some collection issues and trying to keep track of payments as it pertains to some of the work that we do for clients, if we have the very rare collection issue, he's actually using this to keep track of when he calls someone and they promise to pay us, etc. We're going to focus here on projects. And this is where we find that a lot of our prospective clients or people that call us in even after they've tried to implement this themselves, the tendency would have been to create a whole new area within CRM called projects. The problem with that is if we reuse cases and we just categorize it, because there's a lot of built-in functionality that cases provide to you that we also need to keep track of on projects, such as keeping track of tasks. I mean, one of the first tasks that a project will have is a kickoff meeting. Keeping track of appointments. There's a multitude of emails that go back and forth between our consultants and our clients. And all of that really does have a play in the full picture of what happened with that project. So by reusing or utilizing, in addition to service cases, by using cases for projects, a lot of this built-in functionality we can also use for projects. One of the new features that our project managers are loving is this recurring appointment here. And the fact that a lot of our project managers, especially on lengthy projects, have a weekly staff meeting or a project update meeting. They're able to keep track and create a recurring appointment for every Monday to have their project meetings. They're able to do mail merges, so for contractual issues. They can create the statement of services right out of here, and for example, statement of services, we can drop in a lot of these fields. We're going to implement CRM. We expect it to take X number of hours. The project manager here would be, in this case, me, because I'm the owner of this. So all of these fields can be dropped into a mail merge. We also can export any of this to Excel. So if we need to shoot a list along with the project update meetings of all of the tasks that happened the week before, we can run a really quick query and say, show me all activities from Monday to Friday, export that to Excel, and send that out to the project team so they can see all of the activities that happened for the prior week. It also has the capability of attaching files. So when you send back in a signed statement of work, or maybe it's just a sign-off that testing was successful, a multitude of documents can be attached to this project as well. And because we reused cases in CRM, we are able to utilize all of these other functionalities and reuse them for project-related activities here. As you can see, the workflows are built right in here. So we could create a multitude. Let's say a project plan has 5 tasks. I know project plans are a lot more than 5 tasks typically, but because if we schedule a task on Monday of each week, we could even have a workflow in the background that's sitting there waiting to make sure that that task got completed. Otherwise, it could raise a red flag so that projects move along according to the project plan. So a multitude of reasons and functionality built into these cases is helping us to manage your projects. So not a real complex implementation here, but a very creative way of reusing something that Microsoft already gave us. And even though it was not very difficult to implement, the benefit and the end result has been phenomenal from every standpoint. The consultant is aware of what it is they need to do for the day, for the week. The management here at Intelitech has got a pretty good visibility at any one time as they need it, without having to track someone down to find out what's going on with a given project. But it also is keeping our customers satisfied via reporting. We're reporting back to them. Deadlines aren't missed, so we've got a customer satisfaction factor that was tenfold here once we started keeping track of a project from start to finish here. So we're going to open up here for questions here momentarily.
Hopefully that gave everybody a good look there, and thanks, Dana, again for running through that. As Dana mentioned, we're going to go ahead and take everybody off mute here momentarily. But I did want to at least mention to everybody, we will be sending out as a follow-up to this event the white paper, 24 Wildly Creative Ways to Use Microsoft CRM. So it will actually mention a couple of the cases that we showed here this morning, as well as some other things that you may never have thought of before or may apply to your business in a different way. And also, we're offering 1 hour of free consulting. I think a lot of people on here already are using CRM, but if not, we can give you a free trial of it. And we're offering 1 hour of free consulting as well.
And there was one thing that I did forget to mention here as an end result. We did mention the visibility factor into management as well as the project managers here. And one of the things I wanted to kind of show you, kind of showed you I one record input here. But just one example of, and this is still in the works for our GP project team here, but one of the ways that I'm starting to assist the GP project management team is just some visibility into all of the projects that are going on with Great Plains. We just upgraded ourselves to version 2011, which allowed us to start working with some of these dashboards. So one of the first dashboards that I created for the GP team leader is he wanted to know what are the large projects that are going on with Great Plains, and we created a dashboard that shows him any Great Plains project that is going on that has an estimated hours to complete of 100 hours or more, but also a full list of all of the GP projects that are going on at the current time. So would be neglectful if I showed you the input without showing you some of the end results here. And right now we currently have a multitude of projects. So not only are we giving him the top lengthy projects, but at any one point in time he can drill in and see what is happening with any of the projects that are going on with Great Plains. So this is an ever-evolving, and that's the beauty of the creative ways of implementing CRM. And some of the requests are constantly coming in from our team, and we fully expect from you guys as well.
Okay, and with With that, we're going to open this up to a question and answer here. And let me just try to take everybody off of mute. Wanted to thank everybody for their time today. And bear with me one moment here. It's not letting me take everybody off mute. So unfortunately, it is not letting me take everybody off the mute, and I apologize for that. But if anybody does have a question, feel free to use the hand-raising function, and I can take your line off of mute, or you can feel free to type anything into the question box. Okay, well, I wanted to, again, thank everybody for your time today. Thank Dana for the presentation. And again, if you do have any questions, feel free to type it into the question box now, or I think we do have a question here. Okay, so we have a question. Can we link the service schedule with resources to cases in Microsoft CRM?
It's a question I haven't actually been asked before. You can create new relationships between a multitude of entities. That is definitely something that you can reach out to Tom. We can have a one-off call on that to drill in on exactly what it is you're trying to do and test that functionality out. I have done a lot of linking between existing areas that are provided with CRM and doing additional mappings.
We do have our contact information on the screen there if you wanted to reach out to us and contact us with those questions. Okay, we have another question coming in here. Typically, how long does it take for you to turn around a solution from inception to implementation? Is this more difficult with existing infrastructure?
Loaded question. And the general rule of thumb here is we don't like to give estimates without understanding what the business requirements are. But with that being said, a typical out-of-box, fairly straightforward CRM account contact management along with activities range from about 2 weeks' time to 4 weeks' time. But again, that is a very general rule of thumb. And without knowing what the business requirements are, difficult to give you an exact estimate. But a phase one, fairly out of box, is about 2 weeks of time.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Again, you can use the hand raiser feature. We can take you off of mute, or you can type your question into the question box. Give it another moment here in case anybody has any other questions. But again, did want to thank everybody for your time today. Okay, we do have a couple other questions in here. Can we have a library of canned letters to send to customers?
Very good question. And yes, right, built into the product is something called templates. And templates can be either Word, Microsoft Word templates, letters. And we can also do the same thing with email templates. So for consistency of communication, you can store templates in the system that can be used for emails as well as letters.
And the next question, does CRM automatically link with Microsoft Outlook out of the box?
Again, very good question. Yes, out of the box, it does integrate to Microsoft Outlook. And some of the beauty of that is and I can actually open, actually I don't think my screen is actually being shared at the moment. I don't know if Tom's switching back to it right now. This is my Outlook right now, and well, hopefully.
There we go.
Okay. Tom's seeing it, so we're assuming that you are seeing it as well. There is an added toolbar into Outlook. There is also a an area down in here in the folders area for CRM. And the beauty of this is, too, it's actually also integrated into your calendar as well as your task list. So, for example, if I create a follow-up appointment with any one of our clients or prospects for tomorrow, not only am I seeing that appointment stored on the CRM record, but it also within 15 minutes will synchronize with my Outlook calendar. I don't know about you guys, but I live by my Outlook calendar. And if it's not there, it probably is not going to happen. So yes, an appointment in CRM will get created as an appointment in your calendar. And the beauty of it is I can start the appointment in CRM, or I can start the appointment in my Outlook calendar. So yes, it is built right in to Outlook, and that is part of the out-of-box functionality.
Okay, great questions. If any other questions, again, feel free to type it into the question box. You can also use the hand-raising feature, and we can take your line off mute on a one-off basis if you prefer to ask something verbally. But again, of course, you can type something into the question. Great questions, by the way.
Very good question.
Glad to have such an attentive audience this morning. All right, well, here
Office, as long as I send that, as long as I actually send that to Tom, then yes, it will synchronize to him as well. But there is a new functionality that this latest version allows you to do, and it's considered team ownership. So with this new version, which is version 2011, the ownership feature can be actually expanded, and you can create teams of owners. So for example, you may have the Great Plains team who is able to see any client that has a Great Plains implementation, or the CRM team. So it's not really a one-to-one requirement like it used to be in prior versions. So again, the answer to your question is I can't give you a specific answer, but it can be configured any way you need it to be configured.
again, if there's any more questions, feel free to type it into the question box, or you can use the hand-raising function. We can take you off mute. Let's give it a few minutes here. Another minute here. Okay. Well, we got a thumbs up. Thanking us for our time. Thank you for your time. We're glad to have everybody on board today, and we're glad to have such a lively group with such good questions.
Very good questions. Thank you very much for everybody's time.
Thank everybody for your time, and we will be following up with you. But again, feel free to reach out to us at Intelitech Solutions. And again, thank everybody for your time.